Our next speaker is Paul White, the founder of CompView and president and founder of CompView Medical. CompView provides audiovisual design services to clients nationwide, while CompView Medical specializes in the design and integration of audiovisual systems in medical environments such as ORs, exam rooms, and medical training areas. When polling 5 CEOs to name one person who has successfully hired their replacement, all 5 pointed to Paul. This ex-Oer nailed the hiring of his replacement at CompView so successfully that his chief operating officer has gone on to grow the business to 200 people. This enabled Paul to move on and start something he was more excited about, CompView Medical. Paul will share with us his struggles of letting go and how to cultivate your successor to bring continued success to your business. Please welcome Paul White.
Thank you. It's always tough to follow a cute blonde, especially one with energy and wowing everybody, but I'm going to do my best. So, it is even harder. We're going to talk about letting go of your baby, right? Our babies, our businesses, our ideas, the things we've done over the years. Light bulb moments, right? I've had a few ideas over the years, just a few, not too many. And most of them I try to turn into something to make money out of, and only 1 or 2 have been true failures, or let me put it this way, they didn't get the funding. Maybe I should have come to learn how to write a business plan. But CompView, I started 25 years ago. I'm going to give you a little background on that. And again, these are just some things that when my marketing staff put this together, pulled out of the archives, and I forgot about the yourwardrobe.com. So your company's like your baby, right? And there's nothing more beautiful than a pregnant woman about to give birth. It's your idea. It's this child you're going to have, this extremely exciting idea. And then you have this baby, and it's called CompView. And this is 25 years ago. Make sure everybody's paying attention. So to give you a little background on us, I was the first guy to ever sell InFocus products. These projectors up here, everybody's familiar with InFocus down in Tualatin, big success story. Unfortunately, they aren't quite what they used to be. Started in 87. This was a trade show we did, like literally the first week I was in business. And I read the article the other day, or the quotes I had. And I always thought big. And it said, the quote I had was, I'm going to sell $250,000 at this show. I think I sold $25,000, but those days the margins were good. So CompView's been around for 25 years. Started this baby as selling projectors and then overhead projectors, and it came these projectors, and the business kind of grew. Audio, video conferencing, conference rooms, kind of technical. It got to be a little bit bigger than what I wanted it to be at the time. I mean, not bigger, a little more than I could handle. I'm not a manager, I'm a creator. This is an example. So CompView's claim to fame is large national accounts, and these little dates below are dates they've put in place. And typically, these guys sign an agreement with us. They're going to do $500,000 or more a year in business with CompView, and it's either products and or services. Today, so product, what do we do? This is Big Al's Bowling Center here on the left, about a $1.5 million job. This is the lobby at Starbucks in Seattle, where Howard Schultz gives meetings every so often. This is a standard video conferencing boardroom. This other one here is a media training center at Time Warner in New York City, where they actually bring customers in to do focus groups on how their media may reach those people. So kind of elaborate projects, a lot of technical stuff that goes to it, right? That's exciting, but to get from here to that point, here's the idea to that point, yeah, a lot of stuff. And for a guy like me with ADD, I just couldn't get there. I had to figure out, I got to do something else. So today, I wrote our medical piece. And medical piece, we actually have a proprietary product, software and hardware, that goes into operating rooms, mainly for retrofits. And we have patents on this. This is a lot more exciting, a lot more sexy. When you're in an operating room and scrubs on, helping a surgeon make a difference in that case. Yeah, it's pretty sexy business. This is our newest product that we just launched in Europe. We've actually got orders, about $1 million in orders for it. And we'll show it here in the debut it in the US for the first time in October. It's called a Nubo. Again, we have patents on that. So again, as an entrepreneur, get the idea. We're going to go out there. We're going to create this big business. We're going to drive it every single day. We're going to find the best people, attract them to us, like Ruby does, right? We're going to build our brand. Gosh, as an entrepreneur, the 3 things that I think is hard to do is lead, follow, or get out of the way, right? Because as entrepreneurs, what do we always want to do? We want to lead. We don't want to get out of the way. And who are we going to follow, right? No, nobody. Well, as a maturing business, I realized I need to know when to do any one of those things. When I need to be the leader, when I need to step back and be a follower, and then when I need to truly get out of the way, right? Hard, very hard, especially for a serial entrepreneur. No, my way's the best way. I know how to do this. Let's go. What the hell are you thinking? Listen to me, follow me, get in line. Well, We've all had failures, right? So I thought, what if I could actually clone myself, right? What if I could make 2 of me? And to the best of my knowledge, the only one that's really been cloned is Dolly the sheep, right? Has any other animals cloned? So we had this discussion the other day. Has any other animals cloned? Because you think about it, who has what Jill has, right? Who has that passion, that drive, that wowism to teach the next Ruby receptionist? Can somebody do her job here? Does anybody think they can do it better than her? Again, if your company's your baby, who can raise your kids better than you can? I don't even think my spouse can raise my kids as good as I can. Do you agree with that? Well, you guys are new people. Anybody think anybody can raise their kids better than them? No, right? So I set out on this journey. I want to find the perfect person, male, female, didn't matter to me. I'm going to find this perfect person. It's simple to find someone smarter than me. That was the easy part. I can find smarter people. And to me, that's one of the keys to success. I had certain criteria that I wanted to make sure I had. How many of you have hired people thinking this is the next coming of Christ, only to find out they're just an abysmal bomb, right? And you lose them. Or you take a mid-level manager and say, we're going to make this guy, we're going to elevate this guy. They can rise up to it. And sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. So the question is, you get this person to come up to here, can they truly get up to here to be the CEO level or take it further than that, to be better than you? Challenging, right? I knew what I wanted. I had the criteria set. And the most important thing was I didn't want to take somebody who just managed a company. I wanted to take somebody who could, like me, grow this business and share that passion and that drive and that dream. So I set out to find the perfect person. Portland's a small town, right? I call this a two-call town. You know what a two-call town? Anybody know what a two-call town is? Yeah, no, maybe so. No one's got an idea? 2 degrees separation. That's right. That's right. You should know somebody who knows somebody, right? It's pretty straightforward. And if you don't think you can't get somebody in this town, I think the only person that's hard to get to, and I think even you can get to him, is Phil Knight. So if I call someone like this good-looking, dapper guy here, Barry Raber, chances are pretty good he knows who to call to get me the word out, right? Think about it. So I knew what I wanted in terms of a CEO. I knew the kind of person I wanted from a technical background. They had to have some management experience. They had to have Marcom. They had to have this engineering piece. I mean, it was kind of a unique individual. And I wanted them to be preferred to be local, so I'd have to transfer them and their family in here, which I'm too cheap to do anyway. But also, there's a cultural thing that takes place. I mean, Portland is not, it's not Seattle, it's not Chicago, it's Portland. It's a funky place to live. Unless you've kind of grown up here or you wanted to move here, why, I don't know. It's a tough place. Tax implications notwithstanding. So I talked to some individuals. I knew some guys that I wanted to talk to. And so I made those calls, right? And I said, hey, looking to hire a VP sales and marketing that might take over the company someday. You know anybody? Here's what I'm looking for. And actually, the guy I was calling was the guy I really wanted. So the guy I'm calling on the phone, I wanted. He said he couldn't do it because he could get ready to do a startup, which I wasn't aware of. So he said, but I got this friend of mine you might want to meet. But he's out of the Bay Area. I went, I don't want to relocate somebody. But he wasn't married. He was single. And oh, by the way, he had a girlfriend in Portland. How advantageous for me, right? Bring him in. Of course, now it's his wife. So Scott Birdsall. Anybody know Scott Birdsall? Extremely bright guy. One of the sharpest guys I've ever met. He was running a Marcom division, $280 million division of a $1.2 billion company. His sales experience was kind of limited. Nuclear sub-officer. Now, that was important. That wasn't part of my criteria. But think about it. You don't get to be a nuclear sub-officer in the U.S. Navy just by enlisting, right? That's a whole different program. Midwest. What's important about Midwest? When you think about Midwest, what do you think about when people, right? It's hard values, hard-working, down-to-earth, honest. I probably got 6 Midwest guys in our company. So we brought Scott in for an interview. And we actually brought him in on Halloween Day. In our company, the culture is we have to have fun. And there's a couple holiday events that we celebrate, we get dressed up for. And Halloween was one of them. So he came in Halloween for the first interview. And I said, why don't you come in about 10 o'clock? We're going to talk for 2 hours. And why don't you have lunch with us? And you can take off after lunch. He didn't know we had a costume thing going on. So he's walking in for this nice interview, suit and tie on, and all hell's breaking loose at the company, right? It's like, wow, okay. So, but the idea for me was I can kind of expose him to my culture in the company. And to this day, we still do this. We still give away awards for best dressed. At Christmas, we have a big luncheon before we break. We encourage people to get up and do songs as groups or individuals. But that's part of our culture. We like to have fun. Work hard, play hard, have fun. And for a guy, again, looking back and thinking, okay, he's running a big company, nuclear sub-officer, probably going to be a little rigid. Let's make sure he can culturally come in and fit the bill. So you think you've answered all the questions, right? Again, smarter than me, that was the easy one. That was anybody I was talking to at that point in time was smarter than me. Competency, respect, culture. One of my things is, this line, hire smart rather than manage hard. How true is that, right? And all too often, we get so excited about that first interview, that first person we meet, or that person that so-and-so says, this is the greatest person, you gotta hire him. I'd hire him if I could, but I can't afford him. Only to find out there's some shortcomings. Brought Scott in as VP of Sales and Marketing, and with the idea that, Scott, at some point in time, you're going to run this company. I'm at a point where I don't want to manage it anymore. It's growing, it's great, but I got some other things I want to do. So when we brought him in, he fit all the criteria. He was excited about the opportunity. I think between the girlfriend and myself, it all kind of came together that this could be a great opportunity for him. But acknowledging that if this didn't work, or the girlfriend didn't work, what's going to happen, right? Maybe moving on? I don't know. Stay here, find another new girlfriend? That's pretty easy in Portland. At that point, I think Celeste was, you're probably still right out of college. I don't know. Close enough. So when I hired Scott, or hire any kind of senior level executive, I typically will pay him at or below market. Now, why do you do that? How can you get somebody, because number one, are they really interested in a career, or they just want to check? Are they coming because they like the opportunity, or because they want to see that salary increase, perhaps? So I typically would go at a lower base. And Scott, I did that. He said, hey, I'm making a lot more money than that. And for those of you who don't do it, I'd encourage you to do it. If you're hiring any kind of senior level executive, have them bring their tax returns or their last pay stub in. I always do that. Show me. Prove it to me. I believe you, but show me. And more often than not, you'll find it's slightly a little bit lower, right? When Scott came in, I said, we're going to do a bonus program, but what I want to do is reinvest this bonus back into the business so we can continue to grow the business. Rather than pay you $100,000 to walk out every year, let's put it back in the business. And that will increase your stock and the value of that phantom program that you have. And my whole thing was, the company was worth X. I wanted to get to Y, and that would equal Z, right? X plus Y equals Z. Anybody here? Math? You're an accounting person. So what I'm saying here is I was giving Scott his stock based on a valuation at that point in time, what I thought the company was valued at. And so what he grew it from would be his slice of the pie. Accountability. How many people here have advisory boards? Not just your forum, but true advisory boards. Your forums are great, and that's a phenomenal source of having an advisory board. I have an outside advisory board I've had for about 12 years, right, shortly after Scott came on. Because all too often as the entrepreneur, we can get emotional, we can get a little upset. And there was a couple times, and Scott would tell you this, we both stomped our foot. He said, well, you've been finding yourself a new CEO. I said, well, that's pretty easy to fill those shoes. Next morning we'd call each other, hey, I'm sorry. No, I'm really sorry. We get emotional. Yes, we do. But the good news is he was getting emotional too, and I like that. So I have an outside board of advisors. I've got a person who's very strong in sales and marketing. I've got a person who's very strong in the display industry, which is still a big thing here, somewhat a big thing here in the Portland area. And I had a financial person, a guy who used to be a former audit partner at Arthur Andersen, very bright guy. So it gave me a lot of diverse background to be able to keep Scott and hold him accountable for the choices he was making as well as to me. And holding people accountable, as you know, is easier said than done. The other thing I did, I got Scott to get into YPO. And, like EO, that's a great organization. Interestingly enough, he was in a forum and I was in a forum, and there happened to be one member who at that point in time was in both groups who was in the forum. He was my forum and in Scott's forum. Kind of interesting. Side note. So how'd all that work out? I asked some of my managers and some people in the company who've been with me for a while, what do you think about Scott? What were you thinking when he took over the business from me? And this is the takeaways. And really, nothing surprised me in terms of what they said. This thing on the ground here is actually, this year we're celebrating our 25th year in business. So I asked Scott, what would you say, Scott? And he said, well, I should have joined Pixelworks. I would have cashed out with $10 million and they went public. And he had that opportunity. The only thing he regrets, he should have been a little more in tune with some of the things on the balance sheet and what that really looked like and what that meant to bankers, especially back in the day in 2002, 2003, when the economy was right after 9/11 and the tanks and the banks were pulling back. I mean, you thought they pulled back in 2008. It was even crazier in 2002. To take the dollars, we had an offer in the company shortly after Scott joined us. And yeah, we should have taken the money back then. Anyway, so today, where are we at? We're still growing this company. We got pretty elaborate plans. A little side note here. This is us after Scott actually joined the company. I think it was in April or May, since October. This is one of the first things we did, a trade show, and this is a dinner thing. The guy on the left, though, on your left is our banker. And I would encourage you, if you want to keep a relationship with your banker, and a strong one, or build it, take your banker with you to one of your major trade shows and take him to dinner with your big vendor or your big customer. We did both that time. And he was in U.S. Bank in those days, loved us and did a lot, really went to bat for us. So today, where are we at? The company's growing. We're going to be getting an award for fastest growing. It's even harder when you get to be a $60 million business. So when he took over, it was about $40 million. Today it's $60. Our goal is to get to $100 million by 2014. And that's not really organic growth. That'll probably be through some type of acquisition, which we are pursuing several of those as we speak. And the most important thing is Scott has taken upon himself to really help upgrade the personnel in our company. It's a much more technical business today than what it used to be. So he's hired a bunch of great people. Takeaways. Make the decision. Get out of the way. If you decide you're going to hire somebody to be your replacement, let them be your replacement. Make sure the expectations are set and get out of the way. Make sure you have everything in writing. That's the only way to do anything these days, especially in this litigious society that we live in. Sad but true. And don't settle for, I think they're 90% of what I want. Make sure you find 100% or 95%. Don't settle, because you can keep looking, especially in today's economy. We always set annual goals. We have our big, BHAG. We have our deliverables quarterly, monthly. It's in writing. The Board of Advisors is very important to us. We do those meetings probably 2 to 3 times a year, depending on what's going on. And again, the biggest thing is you got to get out of the way. I remember in November last year, Scott came down and said, "Hey, got some great news." I said, "What?" He said, "We're opening an office in Kansas City." Because the last thing you want to hear from anybody is you got a problem in your company, right? The last thing you want to hear. I saw this a couple months back, and I just couldn't resist it. My marketing gal says, "Who's your audience?" I said, "I think it's okay." And had I known Celeste, I would have had you up there for that first picture. So, anyway, thank you. That's it.